Visit your local Kia dealer to test drive one today. Kia, movement that inspires. Comparison based on publicly available data regarding second row legroom in 2024-2025 compact sedans as of November 2024. Compact sedan class as defined by Kia segmentation. Hey everybody, it's Brandon Tierney. Great news! There's never been a better time to make the move to Verizon. Get over $500 in value and savings when you have mobile. Back on the live. Verizon Plus the Files One Gig plan. Making this a regular thing. Guarantee. Save up to $300 annually on your Files internet bill. Plus, for a limited time, get a $200 Verizon gift card when you sign up for a Files One Gig plan and use it. Commercial break. That's like getting 3 months of free Files home internet. Don't miss. When we come back, I'm going to reset the show. Location for details on this limited time offer and learn how you can get over $500 in value and savings today. Gift card offer and 5-year price guarantee ends 2/19/25. Requires Files service for 65 days before gift card registration. One offer per eligible account. 3 months free based on Files One Gig plan. Let me see if I can hit this chat real quick. Like here. Discounts. Price guarantee for new subscribers and applies to current base rates only. Other charges and third-party services and perks excluded. Additional terms apply. See store for details.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be
afraid,
to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids.
Pam, what's up?
Call now. 800-575-4094. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. All right, let's reshuffle the deck, reset this thing. Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-4094. That's 800-575-4094. Tax relief. Hello on Twitch. For real people. Hello on YouTube. Hello on Instagram. And we're back. Download it today. Okay, we're back quickly here, though. I don't have any calls, so I'm just going to kind of reshuffle the deck, set the table again, and then we'll start over like a little 2-hour show. And then it's Friday, so Hoff is coming up next, right? Yeah, and you got to get me out of here in exactly 2 hours. Bro, the tunnel, you know how it is with the tunnel. So for people that don't know, we're right by the Holland Tunnel, and they close the Holland Tunnel at 12. But it depends on who's working over there. It depends on what guy is stationed to move the cones. I've been like right there at 11:59 where I'm good. I've also been there at like 11:58, 11:57 where they're like, nah, you're beat. The last time, I think last Friday, I had a guy in front of me that I could tell was just unfamiliar. When you get out of here, you can enter the Holland Tunnel and kind of bend the right, swerve, bend the corner. Whoa, sorry. You can like make a bend and go right into the tunnel, or you can go straight and make a hard right into the tunnel. And the guy that was in front of me, I'm telling you, was like 11:59, and I think he was accepting defeat. He was just kind of like, "What do I do? Like, this guy just," and I'm beeping at him like, like go, because if you just go right, this guy cut off the curved entrance into the Holland Tunnel downtown here. If you go up and make the right, like we can get through. And if you wait another second and a half, like that guy might close that off. So, me honking at him got him to go up, make that right. And then I got in, right after. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Cause if not, then I got to go back up to Midtown and go through the Lincoln Tunnel and then go back around. It's just like, I live right there, yo. I live 3 miles away. If I can get to Jersey City through the Holland Tunnel, I can honestly get home in like 10, 15 minutes. If not, on a Friday night to go up and then you go into Midtown, it's going to be twice the time. It'll be like 30, 40 minutes. In the summer, forget about it. In the summer, there was one night in the summer, I think I told the architect about this. I'm like, bro, I don't know if I can do this. There was one night it took 2 hours with the traffic for me to get 3 miles, for me to get from down here driving up to Midtown, out the Lincoln Tunnel, back to Jersey City. It took 2 hours, bro. I didn't get to my crib till 4 in the morning. Like, how blown I was, I can't even put into words. I was just like, I just smoked 2 hours. And what it is in the summer, there's so many people and there's one way out, and it's anarchy. Every man for himself. So it's just people putting the nose of their car, nose of their car, nose of their car. People are moving at an inch a minute. So it's so frustrating because New York is the land of people that where they have to go is more important than where you have to go. And also a place where like there's some really nice cars, and then there's some people that they don't give a damn about their car. So they will put the nose of their car right. I'm like, come on, I'm not trying to touch your car. I'm not trying to get in an accident. That's only going to make everything worse for everybody else around us. Chill. Well, I was going to reset the table and shuffle the deck, but I kind of fell down the rabbit hole talking about the the hole that goes through the Hudson River. Anyway, Keith McPherson on the Fan. 2 hours to go. When we come back, I'll reset the table. We're wide open for your calls the next 2 hours. Sports, whatever topics, I don't know. The same things we've been talking about. I'll let you know when we come back. BRB. I was supposed to talk sports. Instead, I decided to talk traffic. All right. Let's see here. Love the show. Yankees 1996, 98, 99, 2000, 09. Take that 24 out of there. What up? What's good with you, bro? Arab Black TV. Shout out McPherson Brand. On the way. McPherson Brand LLC. The YouTube channel is flipped to McPherson Brand. And you'll see some more things coming from McPhersonBrand.com on Twitch. I think on YouTube you can click the link. Let's see. Hey, Keith, 2 questions. Do you think the Mets should bring Pete Alonso? And one day when you have a 5-hour show again, can you have Maria Marino on from ESPN as a guest possibly? Do I think the Mets bring Pete Alonso back? I do. I just don't know when. I think that they're going to drag this thing out. At this point, it could end next week. It could end in spring training, but I just think all roads lead back to Pete signing with the Mets. As far as Maria Marino, I'm aware of her. I've never met her. I've never talked to her. Let me see. Do I follow her on Twitter? Maria Marino. Nah, I don't. I don't follow her. I've never met her. She talks mostly basketball, right? Yeah, play-by-play broadcaster. I would have her on. You got a thing for her, Salvatore? I would have her on. Talk Liberty, talk UConn basketball. I think she specifically does like women's basketball. Did you see the DeJounte injury? No, but I'm about to look now. DeJounte Murray exit game with lower leg injury. I don't know if I want to see that. I don't know if I want to see that.
Because JT Miller is coming home. He's coming home. Miller will let the rain wash away all the pain of yesterday.
Yeah, I don't know. I just saw a little picture. Ugly non-contact injury. I thought he might have broke his leg. I don't want to see a guy get his leg snapped. Okay. About to reset here at the top of the hour on the Fan in New York. Let me know if you guys can hear the calls loud enough, or if I need to turn that monitor up. I'm still working on something. I think I have a go-between. I think I'm gonna buy a small mixer and feed the audio out of the headphone jack into the mixer and then into the computer so that the sound is better. I have to buy something for that. Do you do any Nets pods anymore? So I said the other night, I used to hate doing the Nets podcast when we would lose, and now they lose every night. So no. And it's a little deeper than that as well. Like, they're tanking. There's no business in that. Like, the Nets podcasts are not thriving. They're not making money. I had a kid 2 years ago. I just got other stuff that I got to do, man. All right, back to the show. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we've got 2 hours to take calls and talk all around New York sports. This is Keith McPherson on the Fan, your evenings host, your nighttime host, whatever you want to call it. 888-808-1019. Let's now reshuffle the deck, set the table. I came in tonight talking about the hyped up quarterbacks. Of course, it happens every single year, right? I gave you the example of Will Levis, the year with Anthony Richardson and CJ Stroud and Bryce Young, and Will Levis ended up sitting there and sitting there and sitting there. Even going back the year before, Malik Willis, people thought Malik Willis was going to get drafted before Kenny Pickett, and he ended up sitting there until the Titans took him. Will the Titans draft a quarterback again? Number 1 overall with Mike Borgonzi as their new GM? Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe they take Travis Hunter. Maybe they take Abdul Carter. I think they need a quarterback. I think Brian Callahan, being an offensive-minded coach, even last year, I could tell he was fed up with some of the turnovers and decision-making of Will Levis. Can't really be sold on Mason Rudolph. I think they take a quarterback. So Cam Ward might be the quarterback that they like, or Deion Sanders' son, Shedeur Sanders. But Shedeur Sanders seems to be the apple of the Giants' eye. Or maybe they're, just putting up a smokescreen with that, right? Maybe they're putting up a smokescreen to make you think that they want Shedeur Sanders, and they don't. Maybe they want Jackson Dart or Kyle McCord, which, I just think it's ridiculous that now Jackson Dart is being talked about as a lock to go in the first round. Okay. Off what? Nobody was saying that 2-3 months ago. And now Kyle McCord is getting some rumors too. This is what happens during the Senior Bowl. This is what happens during the Shrine Bowl. This is what just happens while we wait for the Super Bowl. 888-808-1019. So the hype of all the quarterbacks, and who knows what Joe Shane and Brian Dable really feel or what they want. But, we've got to go through this with the Combine in a month and then the draft in 2 months after that. And, earlier I played a little snippet of all the commentary of, people criticizing Patrick Mahomes, right? They didn't like his footwork. They didn't think they thought he was going to be a project. They didn't think he was worth trading up for. Boy, were they wrong, as Patrick Mahomes heads to his 5th Super Bowl with the chance to win his 4th ring and three-peat, which never has been done. So, of course, we're talking about the Super Bowl as well. In my opinion, if you're a Giants fan, you can't root for Saquon, because rooting for Saquon includes rooting for the Eagles. And nobody wants to see the Eagles celebrate on Broad Street again. They had their celebration going to the Super Bowl after winning the NFC Championship. We don't need another one. They get too reckless. I think they got to chill. I've talked a lot about Andy Reid. I've talked a lot about Spags. I've talked a lot about the experience that they have playing in this Super Bowl. I think the only way the Eagles win is if they just can't stop Saquon. If Saquon has a 200-yard game, 3 touchdowns, he's the MVP. He's just that dominant, because I see them putting guys in the box. I see them blitzing. I see them heating up Jalen Hurts, where it's going to be Trent McDuffie out there trying to stop A.J. Brown, and they're going to force Jalen Hurts to throw. And I'm not saying he can't throw, because he showed you he could throw the ball 2 years ago in the Super Bowl. But I don't think that's going to be enough to beat Patrick Mahomes. I had a stat in my notes that I was, bringing to the air the last 2 nights, that Vic Fangio is 0-8 against Patrick Mahomes. 0-8. 6 times as the defensive coordinator of the Broncos, 2 times as the defensive coordinator of the Dolphins. Granted, they don't have the same personnel on the Eagles, but the Eagles have rookies at corner in Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell. They have guys that have not been there before. They have guys like, Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith. This will be their first rodeo. And I just think experience plays in anything. I think experience plays for the Chiefs that, this is what they do. The Super Bowl can't come soon enough because we got to fill airtime with Pete, and Pete. Remember that show? Pete, and Pete? Or maybe you never watched that show. I might be dating myself. Pete, and Pete. There's three brothers. They're never mind. Anyway, Pete Alonso is who we're talking about here. And when will he sign? I think there's only one place for him to sign, but I think he's going to hold out and he's going to continue letting Scott Boras negotiate. And I think the Mets are fed up with Scott Boras, and I don't think he's going to be able to squeeze another dollar out of them. So ultimately, they just, let Pete or they just let time go by until Pete says, all right, enough. I want to go to camp. I want to be with my teammates. There's nothing else. Take the offer that they have. Well, you know what the Mets are not doing? They're not putting a freeze on signing players. Today, they signed Nick Madrigal, and that's, twofold. One, they're still signing players. They've signed now Ryan Stanek on top of Madrigal, Ryan Stanek, Jesse Winker, and AJ Minter, since they've pivoted from Pete Alonso. Obviously, they still have room for Pete. Obviously, they have the richest owner in the sport. They can pay Pete, but they're not holding up the line for Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso is holding up the line for himself. I don't think the Blue Jays are really in. I don't think the Angels are really in. I don't think I don't know. It doesn't matter what I think. What do you think? 888-808-1019. The Pete Alonso saga continues. We talked about the Jets and Aaron Glenn. I had Antoine Staley on, and we talked about their coaching staff. I was somewhat underwhelmed with the names and the experience as I was putting my notes together. But then actually talking through the hires with Antoine, I'm like, actually, again, what do I know? This is a pretty decent coaching staff on paper, but on paper doesn't matter, right? On paper, the Dodgers are back-to-back World Series champions. But that's why we play the games. So let's see. I'm rooting for Aaron Glenn. I think he's got the right words, the right mindset, and he's starting to put together the right staff with the right guys around him that, compared to what the Jets had in the building the last few years, is going to be day and night. So that's on the table as well. We had JJ join me, John Jaskremski, JJ After Dark, to talk Yankees baseball. And the main three things that people are talking about with the Yankees, outside of Hal Steinbrenner's comments about nobody being able to do what the Dodgers are doing, they can't. I'm not mad at that. That's 100% fact that they can't do what the Dodgers are doing. Nobody in baseball can catch up to the deferred money and what the Dodgers are doing with their contracts. But I understand fans being mad because the Yankees make so much money. The Yankees made more money in one season than ever last year going to the World Series. I understand you not wanting to hear your owner, quote unquote, cry poor, but I don't think he was crying poor. I think he was pointing to the structure. I think he was pointing to the strategy. I think he was pointing to the way that the Dodgers have built out their team. Speaking of the Dodgers, here's something I have not brought to the table yet. And any chance I get to talk about this, I will. So ESPN reports federal prosecutors said Thursday that there was no evidence Ippei Mizuhara, the ex-interpreter of Shohei Ohtani, suffered from a gambling addiction, as he claimed when he asked the judge to limit his sentence to 18 months. Let me read this article. I glanced at it earlier. But basically, the FBI, they investigated, and all of the Ohtani Glazers said, see, the FBI cleared Ohtani. They cleared him. He didn't do anything. It was all Ippei. Ippei, didn't you hear? And then, last week the audio comes out of Ippei calling Bank of America or whatever and pretending to be Shohei. I'm like, damn, is it that easy? Who am I speaking with? Shohei Ohtani. Oh, okay. Yeah, what you need? $200,000? Oh, no problem. Where we got to send it to? But, Ippei is due to be sentenced this week. And as they're going through this, all defendants claim to be remorseful at the time of sentencing. The question the courts must answer is whether the defendant is truly remorseful or whether they are just sorry they were caught. So as they're getting into all of this, and I'll read some more of it now, we got a full rack of calls. They're starting to question, how much was this guy gambling? And this much money, the math ain't mathing. Something's not adding up. Let's see. Mizuhara could have used his own money to pay the bookie. Now, let me go back. Prosecutors contend Mizuhara did not accumulate a tremendous debt. that forced him to steal from Ohtani. At the time of the first fraudulent wire transfer from Ohtani's bank account, it was just a modest $40,000. A modest $40,000. $400 is a modest transfer. $40,000. I'm sorry, that made me laugh reading the article. Mizuhara had more than $34,000 in his own checking account. He could have used the money to pay his bookie, but instead chose to steal from Ohtani. Mizuhara deposited money he received from his winnings to the bookie into draft. I'm not going to read this whole article. I'll read it during the break and I'll come back. But there's some inconsistencies here. The math ain't mathing. There's some things that aren't adding up. I think that's funny, though. I want to be rich one day when I think that a bank transfer of $40,000 is modest. When I worked at MTV, I made $36,000 my first year working there. 888-808-1019. Let's go to Cal in Connecticut. First up on the fan.
Hey, what up, Keith?
What up?
Hey, man, I want to talk about the Giants, this dumpster fire of an organization. I'm a Giants fan, sadly. And the whole world knows they're going to pick a quarterback. And I know you just mentioned something about maybe it's a smokescreen, this love fest between Shador and the Giants that appears mutual. I've never seen anything quite like that. But my question is, when have the Giants ever successfully had a smokescreen? Doesn't the whole world know who we're drafting each and every year? I mean, we're picking third and we want this kid. What if they go 1-2? What's going to happen then? We're going to have to go all out in free agency, bring in a quarterback, and then pray that one of these kids makes it to 3. If not, we're going to have to trade up. My whole point of calling is I have no faith in this organization, specifically this regime. They've done nothing. Shown his inability to draft. I don't know what's worse, his inability to draft or Daboll's inability to put together a staff. This team is just not going in the right direction. And I just heard you saying that, maybe it's a smoke screen. I'm just like, man, when have the Giants have done a smoke screen ever? I mean, this organization.
Last year.
Well, I'm sorry. The smoke screen left.
Yeah, because some people thought that they actually might draft J.J. McCarthy. I don't know if that was them putting up the smoke screen. I think that was J.J. McCarthy telling everybody, oh, the Giants is who I'm talking to.
It was the easy pick. It was Malik Neighbors there at 6. When Tavon and Evan Neal, it's the easy pick at 5 and 7. At 6, it's they're going to just hope for the consensus top player when they pick them.
Mm-hmm.
Some people say he should have went higher than where he went, but it's just they go the easy way. I don't see them doing anything tricky like a smoke screen or anything like that. And I just got no faith in this team. I wonder what you think they're going to do.
Thanks for the call, Cal. Yeah, they've beaten the faith out of you. Don't you wish you could have gotten those picks back for Kayvon and for Evan Neal? Don't you wish that you might have went a different way? And I don't know. I just think that the draft is a competition. And if you show your hand, it doesn't bode well all the time. Somebody else is going to be interested in Shador Sanders. But, going back to what you said, what if they go 1-2? I was very vocal in the beginning of the show about Travis Hunter. Quickly, I'll say it again. He's a star. He plays 2 positions. He won the Heisman. He's going to work out here because he's not going to go to the club. He's not going to get caught up in any of the stuff in New York that New York has to offer. This kid is already engaged, trying to be married to his girl. He's a nerd. He plays video games, and he hangs out on Twitch. Shout out to the people watching me on Twitch right now. It's not a shot at Twitch. I'm talking about what he does as like a superstar football player. A lot of these guys do other things, right? I don't know if he'll be at the Travis Scott concert like Malik Neighbors was concussed, which also there was no problem with that. If I wanted to go to the Travis Scott concert. I'm just washed. Like if I was 10 years younger, I would have been in there with LaFlame and them. Anyway, I think Travis Hunter is the guy you draft at 3. If he's there and you figure out the quarterback later, you trade back up into the first round if Jackson Dart falls. Or if people are suspecting Kyle McCord to actually be a first-round quarterback, man, trade up from 34 and go get him. It's not the end-all, be-all with Shador Sanders. There are a lot of people that don't think Shador Sanders is going to be that good of an NFL quarterback. I do think that the Giants like him. And I just think the Giants have spent so much time scouting him and going to Colorado and talking to him. And you know what the smokescreen is? Like them pretending like they don't know him. them pretending like they're just getting to meet him and talk to him now. And obviously, I know there's rules and stuff involved, but they've been on Shedeur Sanders this entire season. I think they want him, and I think Deion Sanders is going to try and force his son to New York. I think Cam Ward ends up going to Tennessee, number one, with Callahan. I think the Browns just know that they are the Browns. They have Bailey Zappi. They have Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Maybe Kevin Stefanski can get them. Like if they're able to wiggle out of some of the Deshaun Watson money, because they're in a cap issue with that. But Deshaun Watson, I told you guys, if you listen to my show a couple weeks ago, I told you guys, Deshaun Watson, the masseuse madman, the first one before Justin Tucker, like this guy was on TikTok dancing with his girlfriend, flexing his car while his team was still in season. This guy took his girl to like some dinner in LA, like overlooking the water. I'm like, this guy's flexing so hard. He's supposed to be a football player. He's supposed to be rehabbing. He's supposed to be ready for next season, coming back from an Achilles. He re-ruptured the Achilles. He's out for next season. And they have video evidence of him not wearing the walking boot. If the Browns can get out of the money, some of the guaranteed money that they owe Deshaun Watson, Kirk Cousins has made a ton of money. Go look at all the money that Kirk Cousins has made. Kirk Cousins may have another year left in him. Reuniting with Kevin Stefanski on a cheap deal, and they don't need a quarterback. Maybe they take Abdul Carter. Maybe they take Travis Hunter. And then there's your quarterback of the Giants. There's at least your rookie quarterback that they've taken in the first round to complete the holy trinity of GM, coach, quarterback, Shane Dable, and Shedeur Sanders. Ray is in Brooklyn, back on the Fan. What up, Ray?
Hey, good evening, my G. Listen, you guys are making a lot of good points on a lot of interesting topics. As far as Shedeur Sanders and Deion Sanders, I was with you the whole time that I feel like they're going to try to force their way to the Giants. And then I heard Tiki Barber say today that his belief is that their priority is not getting to the Giants or any particular team, but being the number one pick. And I hate to think that's the truth because they don't need any extra, financial, whatever that would bring them in additionally financially. It's not like they thirsty like that. So
no, it's the status. It's not the money. They've got millions. It's the status, and it's the history of being the number one overall pick. That's forever.
Right, but wouldn't being successful with the New York Giants ultimately in the long and short term be much better than just saying I was the number one pick? Except
who's to say they're going to be successful? The Giants drafting Shedeur Sanders in a division with Jaden Daniels, in a division with Dak Prescott coming back. Oh, in a division with Saquon Barkley and the NFC champions. The Titans play in the AFC South.
You're absolutely right about that. But I mean, you can't guarantee anything anywhere. And even if you're not even, quote unquote, all that successful with the Giants, I would think that playing in New York and the marketing that does for you, understand the internet and everything else. But I would think that's the best case scenario. But that's not really why I do hope that they do force their way over here, by the way, because I think we need the infusion, obviously, of young talent at the quarterback position, and we need a turnaround, and that would be great. But Keith, when I call, I call to be objective. I'm not necessarily trying to ruffle feathers, anything like that. But let me just say this, because the guy is the Mets fan that keeps calling and saying that you and I or C-Mac can't talk about the Mets. Let me just say this, bro. Why the double standards? Why the hypocrisy? All these years, all I've heard was Mets fans call up and say, talk about Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton, whether they could be healthy, laughing at them, hoping that, that they do get injured at some point, which is classless, or, the fifth inning of the World Series this year. So why the double standard? Why can't we speak about, the Mets? And you articulately pointed that out a couple of weeks ago where you said, hey, you guys called up to talk about the Yankees, so why can't I and, my Yankee callers?
Because little brother's supposed to not butt into big brother's business, right? Little brother's got to mind his business, not big brother's business. Big brother can mind little brother's business. But we're having a lot of confusion these days on who's big brother and who's little brother.
Well, Keith, I don't think you and I or C-Mac or any Yankee fans are confused. I think that the other party is the one that's highly confused, because I don't think that's ever going to change. Like Josh Hart said, the Yankees will always be the class organization in town. Oh my God. Who's that, Rosie? But
not me.
Oh, okay. I'm just being objective, man. I'm not really necessarily trying to like ruffle anybody's feathers. I just think, listen, what's fair is fair. And even though we disagreed on the Pete Alonso thing or whatever the case is, you still got C-Mac who is, kind of singing the same tune as me. I even spoke to Luigi behind the scenes earlier today, and he said, Ray, you're absolutely right. I don't want to hear my, richest owner in the sport talk, crying about being super stressed out and exhausted. When you got all this money, you could just end it, at any point that you want. So that's kind of him just trying to win a PR battle, and it's BS. So like, why would you do that?
It was a good tactic. Thanks for the call, Ray. A few things, in regards to like, why would Steve Cohen take the mic at Amazing Day? I said, that's cold as hell. Like in a good way. Like I got a respect for Steve Cohen because he didn't have to do that. It was risky business doing that. He might have violated some type of code doing that, but he knew what he was doing. He's smart. You don't accumulate 28 or 20 billion or whatever he's worth being a dummy and taking whatever's given to you. You also don't make that much money just spending it. So like, it was tactical. It was a shot. He knew that was going to go viral in the baseball world. He knew that was going to go viral in the Mets community. He knew he was speaking to his fans and all of baseball fans. And he was speaking right to Scott Boras and Pete Alonso. Enough already. Right? And the way that he said it, he's like, the Soto negotiations were easier than this. This is exhausting. This conversation, it's exhausting for all of us. January's over. We've been doing this Pete Alonso conversation the entire month, 31 days. And as far as tying Hal Steinbrenner together with Steve Cohen, where Yankee fans are saying, I don't want to hear my owner cry poor. I don't want to hear my owner say he can't do what the Dodgers can do. You're the freaking Yankees. And then the Met fan coming in and saying, I don't want to hear my owner's exhausted and can't sign Pete Alonso. We just went to the NLCS. You just signed Juan Soto. Get it done. Pay him. Well, these guys also didn't get rich by just throwing money around. Right? Everybody wants them to pay the luxury tax, pay the penalty. No, why? Why are you going to pay a fine? Why are you going to pay an extra bill? Why are you going to give money away? Why are you going to burn more bread? Why are you going to light more money on fire? It's like the analogy of, like when we used to see Steve Jobs wear the same fit, right? Where they'll, there's always these memes and stuff online about, these rich guys wearing these bummy shoes and the same jeans. They're not flashy. They're not flaunting it. But then you'll see people with designer clothes, with jewelry, you'll see people in a flashy car and they're in debt. So it's, these guys are rich for a reason. Like, this is not their first business negotiation. They're both tactical. Steve Cohen knew what he was doing at Amazing Day, and Hal Steinbrenner knew what he was doing on the Yes Network. You think they just fell into their own platforms, willy-nilly saying anything? No, it was thought about. And now it's been talked about for a week. We've been talking about Hal Steinbrenner's comments on the Dodgers and what Steve Cohen said about Pete Alonso. I think they got the message across, and they did what they intended to do. Neil is in Stanford. Neil, you're on the fan.
Keith, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I would take it off speaker, but you sound fine.
I'm good. Hey, how are you?
Good.
Listen, I enjoy your show, and I've only called once before over the years. I wanted to, if I could, talk Giants and Yankees. And I enjoyed what you said about the Giants yesterday. I totally agree with you. Your take on it on Shane and Dable, 100%, and that's what kind of prompted me to call. And the thread that links the two are Hal and Mara. And, I know Mara gets more criticism, which is very, very deserved. I don't think Hal gets, criticism. I don't think he knows baseball that much. And the fact is, I don't think he grew up in the business of baseball.
Hal Steinbrenner?
Yeah, I don't think he knows baseball that well. I really don't. I think that I think he outsources that obviously to Cashman, but I don't think in his core he's a baseball guy. And if you look at his bio, like the guy never, I mean, it was Hank that was the original heir to the team. I mean, Hal, I do believe is a business guy, and Hank wasn't so much of a business guy, but there was never any sense that Hal was, as a young man, a kid, whatnot, sort of with the team, whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I don't think you can be that close in proximity to the Yankees and not know.
Well, let me, if I could, just to expound on it. Okay, that's just my sense. But the things that, in my mind, support it are, my biggest frustration with the Yankees, it's not even that they don't spend more money, it's how poorly they allocate money consistently, okay? And I feel like, obviously, that's Cashman's decision ultimately, but that's my point about Hal, which is if he knew the game better and if he knew players better, I feel like there'd be a better check on Cashman. Because I'll give you an example, right? Like, I think everybody knew going into last year that Stroman contract was a stupid contract. Like, I think he's getting paid, teens, millions of dollars, the 2 or 3 year deal, something like that per year. It's like, in this day and age, Stroman's a single-digit $1 million pitcher, and we've seen it before. I mean, Stroman's been around for like almost 10 years or so, and now a year later we're burdened with that contract.
Yeah, but at the time, Stroman was in year 10. They did what they had to do to get Stroman. They needed pitching. No, they did. They absolutely did. And then Garrett Cole got hurt. They needed him.
Well, come on. These guys didn't even pitch in the postseason. That's how much.
They ended up not needing him, during the end of the season. But if we go back to this time last year, obviously we didn't know Cole would be hurt, but we had no idea Luis Gil was going to be Luis Gil.
Yeah, but listen, here's an example, okay? And let me compare the Mets to the Yankees. We're going to look back, and I'm willing to bet that Holmes will be a good starting pitcher. Okay, I'm willing to bet because his arsenal is suited for starting pitching.
I'll take that bet. I don't think so.
Agree with me on that? On Clay Holmes, okay? I'm not sure why you disagree, other than the fact that he's only pitched 60 innings a season, which I find he won't be able to pitch more than 120, but I bet you those will be 120 quality innings.
I just watched him get rocked and be terrible too much to think that he's just going to transition into being a starting pitcher and being a good one.
I mean, the guy's pitched to a 3-year array or lower over the past 180 innings. You might be pointing out individual situations because he's pitching the ninth inning and you remember those situations. You also remember the guy's pitched to a lousy defense a lot of the time. He's a ground ball.
He can't survive an inning or two. I think he was best suited as a weapon, like they transitioned into having Luke Weaver be the closer and finding spots for him. I don't trust him to pitch 5 innings for me, but I don't have to worry about that anymore.
Well, anyway, my point on Holmes, though, okay, is, you had an arm on your team, okay? Now, they chose not to sign him and whatnot. There are guys, Clark Schmidt last year, fine. But the Yankees should have known that Gil had as much talent as he did. I mean, maybe not rookie year talent, but they should have known that what they had internally, Or there were guys, there were guys the Royals got off the scrap.
So are you trying to bring this around to how Steinbrenner should have known all this? I don't.
Bring it down to is, they spend their money consistently poorly in ways that it's not the $40 million contract, the $35 million contract. It's the $10 to $15 million contracts that add up. It's the Rizzo contracts when we know he's washed, before they give him the money. Even Goldschmidt, okay? Goldschmidt, you can say what you want about his last 2 months, OPS, whatever. The guy is basically washed. He's going to be a 700 OPS guy as a right-handed hitter in Yankee Stadium. It's these contracts that they don't stand out because, in baseball terms, $10, $20 million for the Yankees, nobody's going to blink an eye. But when they add up and it's 3 or 4 bad contracts that otherwise could be allocated to a high quality player like a Bregman, for example, and you could, the guys like Stroman and even Goldschmidt, even though he's a big name, they're more or less replacement players these days. You can get young, cheap guys or older guys. Carlos Santana is going to give you Goldschmidt-like numbers. you know, he's not the name, but he's going to give me similar numbers. That's my point, is like the asset allocation that there.
Yeah, I'm there. Thanks for the call, Neil. It took a while to like land the plane and come around. I'm not putting that on Hal Steinbrenner. He's not the GM. I'm also not going to say Hal Steinbrenner doesn't know baseball. He's George's son. He grew up in the organization. There's just no way you can own the Yankees and not know something. And one of my biggest pet peeves about baseball fans is when they say, this guy doesn't know anything about baseball, or this guy doesn't know. How do you know? We don't know what anybody knows. We don't really know what anybody knows. And like, I don't know. I just think that's like disrespectful. And it's a reach. Now, as far as asset allocation, they're not going to be perfect. They're not going to hit on everybody. They're going to extend for a DJ LeMahieu to sign the player. They're going to extend for Max Fried. Did I want an 8-year contract for an injury-prone Max Fried? No. But to land the player in a window where you got to win, that's what you got to do, right? Giancarlo Stanton, did they know he was going to be what he is, can't run? No, they don't know these things. But when you sign these contracts, you get paid for what you did, not what you're going to do. And the rest is just is fingers crossed, hoping that it works out. We'll come back to this. 888-808-1019. I got to take a break. Keith McPherson on the Fan. BRB. Bruh. Like all that talk about Stroman's contract, Goldschmidt's contract. And we started the call off talking about how, I don't know, he took me around. So I'm like, all this to say that Hal doesn't know baseball? Land the plane. See, now I'm going to start making people, be quicker to the point, yo. I wanted to say something to freaking Only Zeus 13 said, hey, man, I'm just asking respectfully. If you need a video editor to edit your stream, podcast, and turn it into content that can be posted on your social media, thanks. No hate. P.S. I can send all my sample work if you want. First off, the answer is yes. I'm a one-stop shop. I do everything on my own. I'm always looking for help. I'm always down to put on. I'm always fair to people. I will... Yeah. And I'm back. Had to clean the camera for a second. I just followed you, Zeus, on Twitch. So message me there because I see you're on Twitch. Let me see. What I'll say is I am a former social media manager, so I know the game. But like, I don't have the time. Like, my main job is to get on this microphone and host a show that streams over the airwaves and, you know, in the Odyssey app for 5 hours of content. And now I've added doing this digital live stream. I have followers. I have Instagram, Twitter, whatever, but I am nowhere near where I want to be as far as content creation and output. I would certainly give you the opportunity to do that with me. And then the next part where you said no hate. Why would I think you're hating? I know a hater when I see one. That's not hate. You're clearly someone that follows me, is watching me live, and is offering to help. So sure, send a sample. If you go to my Instagram or Twitter, my email is in the bio. Send a sample. Maybe we can figure something out. Connor Long, how you feel about those Jets, Jets? Let's see. So this guy is boring. It wasn't that he was boring. He was like, he was boring, actually. He was just long-winded. Like, yo, land the plane. What is the point? Right? What are you trying to say? What he was trying to say was that the Yankees don't have the correct asset allocation. Nobody does. It's a crapshoot. It is a guessing game. You're going to pay for some guys, and they're not going to pan out. I'm going to come back to that in a minute. Keith, Aaron Rodgers is done with the Jets. Pam, you're saying that as if that's breaking news. That's not confirmed. Or is that a question? We need a question mark after that. I also wanted to read this ePay article real quick. Let's see.
Federal prosecutors disclaimed. Let's see. I know there was one part I was reading before. All defendants claim. Prosecutors said the government investigation found only minimal evidence of past legal gambling. Okay, let's see. Prosecutors contend he did not accumulate tremendous debt. They alleged he deposited the money. In his filing, the Holcomb, he claimed that he had to rent a place near Otani and paid hefty rent. He also stated that the filing that he was living paycheck to paycheck, but this is also not true. Prosecutors wrote in the filing, submitting bank statements. So, something is up. He had no expenses, the prosecutors, and he had no loans, car payments, or rent. It was more than 300,000 in March. This is gonna be good. I'm coming back with this. Mizuhara turned down book and commercial deals in spite of Otani encouraging him to accept the deals. Did in fact write at least one book, an illustrated children's book. Prosecutors concluded their filing, stating a significant period of incarceration is necessary. Reiterated that the request for a sentence of 57 months in prison, 3 years supervised. That sucks. More than $16 million in restitution. There is no doubt Mizuhara feels ashamed for the international attention he received from his fraud and schemes, but instead of showing true remorse, he's trying to justify stealing millions from Otani. Okay, so maybe he didn't have a gambling problem. Maybe he just was robbing Otani. Maybe he's just robbing Otani. What kind of content am I looking for? I'm going back. Me content. I have one guy. If you go to my Instagram and you ever see the cinematic videos, like vlog style videos, if some of you are watching on my YouTube right now, if you go to my YouTube and you see the documentary style videos, my boy Dalton shoots those. That's the only guy I have helping me put out content. The rest of the content I do myself. But what I need is every night I am doing a show for 3 to 5 hours, and I have takes, and I have moments, and I have calls. I have comedy, funny things I say or do. I'll kick raps on here. I'll go on rants on here. That stuff needs to be clipped and published, because if that is consistently clipped and put out on my Instagram, Twitter, it will build the audience. If that is consistently clipped, it'll lead to other things and bring people in that say, I didn't listen to this guy's whole radio show, but I heard his rant on Joe Shane not, paying Saquon, and I thought he articulated that pretty well. Now I want to listen to his whole show. So, yeah. That type of content.
19 FM and always live on the free Odyssey app.
You're Friday night on the Fan. I'm here. KM to AM as we proceed to give you what you need. Shout out to everybody watching online. I think the other night I got to almost 2,000 concurrent views at the same time. Right now we're holding at 682. I think we were above 700 at one point. Streaming on Twitter, streaming on Instagram, Twitch, and YouTube. Just look up Keith McPherson on YouTube, McPherson brand. It'll pop up there. So just something I'm trying to do to give people a video component in the digital age of 2025. The radio is cool if you're in the car, or if you don't care to look at me, that's fine. 888-808-1019. So going back to the last call, it took a while to land the plane, and that's okay. And I didn't mean to yell at you. If it sounded like I was yelling at you, I got Paulie in my ear yo, we got to go to break. And I'm just I want to go to break, but I also want to give you your time. And also I'm what are we trying to, the call started off talking about how Steinbrenner doesn't know baseball. Then we're talking about Marcus Stroman's contract, and he should have had a single-digit $1 million contract for a year and whatever. And then, okay. So we got to the Yankees asset allocation. Brian Cashman has been criticized for that for years. They paid Josh Donaldson $6 million last year to do nothing. Why would you take on that contract? Because you thought you were getting something left of the good Josh Donaldson, and you were incorrect. It happens. Even with Stanton. Why would you take on Stanton's contract? Because he hit almost 60 bombs the year that you were in Game 7 of the ALCS, and you thought you were adding him to a team with Judge who hit 52. I don't know. I'll say this, though.
like Brian Cashman isn't the only one that's made mistakes like that. I remember Steve Cohen going out and buying Max Scherzer. I remember him going out and buying Justin Verlander. And then, and David Robertson and Mark Canha and Eduardo Escobar and Tommy Pham. And at the deadline, having a historic deadline as one of the, richest owners ever in sports, to be like, hope is not a strategy. We're not making the postseason. This isn't working. This was not the right asset allocation. I'm punting these guys. And what we're going to do here is trade them away to help build our farm and get some prospects back. It just is what it is. We are in uncharted territory. We're in a different place with the luxury tax. We're in a different place with the deferred money. We're in a different place with the Dodgers. The Dodgers are the team that spent the most money in the offseason last year, and then it turned into a World Series championship for them. So that would lead you to believe that the rest of these teams would be spending, right? Incorrect. The only team spending, there's 3 teams: the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Mets, and the rest of baseball is we don't have to spend. So when we do lock out, when there is the collective bargaining agreement, as I go to my notes, Jake Mintz, who writes for Yahoo Sports, was talking about it earlier and talking about how there's not going to be a salary floor without a salary cap. We're going to have both. You understand? He wrote that only 9 teams are projected to open the season with a payroll more than half of what the Dodgers payroll is. Half is 189.5. 9 teams is almost a third of the league. We are in a different place in Major League Baseball. So, in 2027, we'll get this season, we'll get next season. I don't know if we're getting 2027, right? I think that's when it's going to be time to talk about this thing. 888-808-1019. So we'll take your calls on that. But also, speaking about talking about this thing, I did read the Ippei article, which goes in line with the Dodgers, right? And teams not spending and them spending so much and them deferring all this money and them getting the unicorn player with the unicorn contract. Something's going on. Something's fishy. And I've been on Ohtani. Why'd you name your dog Decoy? What are you hiding? Why'd we not know about your wife? This chick just pops up at the Soul Series and they're showing her like Taylor Swift. Why are we so secretive about your free agency when you weren't going anywhere? You're just going across town to crosstown rivals. Anyway, so reading the article about Ippei, this guy didn't have a gambling problem. Maybe Ohtani had the gambling problem. This guy is completely the fall guy. Let me see the part of the article. He was stealing from Ohtani, allegedly. But supposedly he was stealing from Ohtani and he had money. And, okay, let's see. The alleged Mizuhara deposited money he received from his winnings from the bookie into DraftKings and his personal account. He had no intention of paying Ohtani. So he was stealing from Ohtani, but I guess Ohtani's such a cash cow. He's he'll never notice. But then it probably got out of hand. So in his filing to Holcomb, and I'm not sure who Holcomb is, going back to the article, but it says this: Mizuhara claimed that he had to rent a place near Ohtani and pay a hefty rent, where he ultimately settled in Newport Beach, California, while simultaneously paying rent for an apartment in Japan. He also stated in his filing that he was living paycheck to paycheck. But this is also not true. Prosecutors wrote in their filing, submitting bank statements as evidence showing he was using Mr. Ohtani's debit card to pay his rent without Ohtani's knowledge or authorization. He had no expenses, the prosecutor continued. He had no loans, no car payments, or rent expenses, noting Ohtani gave Mizuhara a Porsche to drive. Mizuhara always had a significant balance in his checking account, noting that it was more than $30,000 in March of 2023 and more than $195,000 in March of 2024. This whole thing came out in March of 2024 when the season started. March of 2024, yeah, when inquiries from ESPN led to his firing from the Dodgers. Something is fishy, man. Prosecutors also said Mizuhara turned down book and commercial deals in spite of Ohtani encouraging him to accept the deals. He did, in fact, write at least one book, an illustrated children's book about Ohtani. Why you turn down deals to make money, bro? You're an interpreter. And like, we knew who this guy was. I always remember how liked he was by the team in Anaheim. There was a time where I think Ohtani hit a homer, and maybe he was pitching that day, but for some reason he wasn't able to do the home run celly. So they let Ippei wear the samurai helmet and then run through the dugout and do the home run celly. I'm like, oh, these guys, they're having a blast. Must be nice guys. Who would have known all of this was going on? 888-808-1019. Rob is in Central Islip on the Fan. What's up, Rob?
Hey, Keith, how you doing?
Good. Thanks for calling.
Thanks for having me. So I wanted to mention about Shohei, why he's such a perfect unicorn to some people. Actually, I'm sorry, most people. But I want to compare him to A-Rod, one of the biggest villains in baseball over the last, when he was in his prime. He doesn't never get none of that treatment. And this guy is being just as shady. And he doesn't have to go in front of the media and get all the questions. But A-Rod, he has to answer all these questions. But no one, leave Shohei alone. That's confusing to me.
It's not confusing to me. Shohei, I remember saying this, Shohei being prosecuted, Shohei being turned into a villain right now. The Dodgers don't win that World Series, and that hurts baseball. That hurts Rob Manfred. That hurts the Dodgers. That hurts their TV deals. That hurts the Dodgers exclusive TV deal. That hurts. Like, nobody wins if Ohtani loses.
And watching back when A-Rod was in his prime, but they're watching it for the bad side. He's the villain. I need to watch.
I hated it. They're throwing at him. They're booing him. He's a Yankee. He's wearing the Yankee jersey. He cheated. He lied. He got suspended. They're going on tour. It sucked, but it was different, right? It was steroids. It was the lies.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not an A-Rod homer. I wasn't a big A-Rod fan, but I was cheering him on because I'm a Yankee fan.
Right.
Baseball-wise, I want him to win. I want him to do well. Shohei, he's 1A. Judge is 1B. They're the best players in baseball, hands down. So I'm not trying to hate. I would never hate. I'm not a hater at all.
I will. I'll hate on Ohtani. Gladly.
Listen, he's a unicorn. He really is.
Yeah, I mean, not taking anything away from the fact that he can hit the ball 500 feet and then also strike guys out, but he's sketchy. He's the most sketchy player I've seen in a while. I don't trust him. And when the 30 for 30 comes out, I'm gonna be looking like Leonardo DiCaprio in that meme. Like, see, I told y'all, pointing at the TV.
And A-Rod was sketchy too, but A-Rod had to take his medicine, and he did.
A-Rod was just a cornball. Thanks for the call, Rob. He was a cornball, but what did he do? He did the same thing everybody else did. They all did steroids. They all cheated. 888-808-1019. This is different. I wouldn't compare A-Rod. And then also, A-Rod had one of the greatest rebrands of all time. He became America's sweetheart. He was dating J-Lo. He was popping up in a suit everywhere. He repaired his image.
Comp is that right now, back then, the Yankees were the evil empire. Everyone hated them. And most people right now, what baseball team does everyone like pretty much hate?
Sure.
And who's the leader, the face of the Dodgers? Now, there's a lot of them, but certainly the biggest one probably is Shohei Ohtani. And this is a guy who, like you said, the last 20 minutes or so, has some interesting personal things that have been leaked out, haven't been leaked out. So I get the comp and I understand it. I just don't. I wonder how much of it is that, like, let's just get someone because he's on the Dodgers and everyone hates the Dodgers, and like it's just like fun to hate on.
This is a huge scandal, and something's going to come out attached to Ohtani. How did this guy? Is he that rich? You don't know. You don't know somebody's using your debit card. You don't know that $40,000. I don't know. I guess I'm that broke that I'd like this. To me, seems unfathomable. Where you don't know. What does he not look at mail? Does he not have a bank app on his phone?
I don't think he's noticing 3.5 million and his checking becomes 3.2. I don't even think
He's different than me. I'd be checking it daily and nightly. I'd be waking morning and night.
props to him for having that ability to not care and not check. I've never been. I wish I could be in those shoes.
Yeah, I can't imagine having that much money where like what you're not paranoid. I feel like if I had that much money, I'd be mad paranoid. I'd be paranoid like Evan on the gummy the other night.
Guy, obviously, for like many years, he knew his translator. So there's no reason for him not to feel comfortable with him.
Yeah, that's another thing too. Like from my own vantage point, I woke up to watch the Solo series because I like baseball. And baseball starting, and you got the Padres and Dodgers playing in Korea. I want to see what it looks like. They in the dugout, you wouldn't know that there was any issues, there were any scandal or any type of they didn't show it. I don't know. I guess Ohtani was that oblivious. He can't be that dumb. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. And you know what? Now that there is FBI involved and investigators, somebody's going to crack one of these things. Somebody's going to find something that Ohtani did know. Because it's BS. I saw a quote recently, and all the like the gambling sites were running with it, laughing because there's a quote from Ipe where he said, I only saw worth in life while gambling, or I only saw like a future in life. I only saw a purpose in life while gambling. And all the degenerate gamblers, I'm guilty as one of them. Like we think that's funny. Like so it became a meme. But if they're saying that he didn't have a history of gambling, I have a history of gambling since I was 16. I've been gambling for 20 years. Like if this was me, they'd be like, no, this guy was gambling in high school. Like this built up to the point where this happened. Ipe, nah. And it wasn't like he was hurt. They're saying he was living paycheck to paycheck, but he had money in his account. I don't know, man. I just think they're slow playing this thing. Somebody knows. But like I said, the powers that be, hey, nobody wins if Ohtani loses. So they were telling them that we're going into a fresh baseball season. This guy just came from the Anaheim Angels to the Dodgers. They're stacked. It does not help anybody. Ipe's the fall guy. We can get him up out of here. We have the Dodgers appoint another translator in an hour and a half. 888-808-1019. Keep McPherson on the fan. 1 hour to go. Call me up. I'll be right back. Yeah. If you think Ohtani has nothing to do with all this, like I've got waterfront property to sell you in Vegas. The new GM wanted him to see if he was coming. Oh, this is my new drop. Let me hear this.
Trophy in New Orleans. You can get in on all the action at ESPN Bet Sportsbook. Check out their big game giveaway promo for your chance at $1 million in prizes. 25 winners will walk away with $10K in cash, and 7,500 winners will get $100 in bonus bets. No deposit or bet required. Opt in today in the ESPN Bet Sportsbook app. Must be 21 plus. Gambling problem? Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
All right, it's decent. It's a decent read. More gambling. Sign up for the ESPN Sportsbook. Use promo code Radio100. Tell them Keith sent you. Yeah. I don't even go on TikTok. Check me out. I was just telling Danny, who cleans up in here. He's a DJ Godson. He's cool as hell. He wants me to do a drop for him. He's like, yeah, I'll hit you in the DM. And I was like, did you try and send it on TikTok? I deleted TikTok because I don't care about TikTok. When I first got on TikTok, there were too many little girls on TikTok in their rooms twerking, and it just it gave me the heebie-jeebies, bro. Like it gave me To Catch a Predator vibes. I was like I would scroll and watch, and I'd be like I'm not supposed to see this. Anyway, I got off TikTok for years, and then the platform evolved, and then I'm seeing people pop up. Mad followers, really getting traction on TikTok. And by the time I get back on, I built up to 4,000 followers. But come on, 4,000 followers and nothing that I had really hit. So I deleted the app. As soon as they said TikTok will be banned 2 weekends ago, or whenever it was, I was like, good riddance. But then once you delete it, you can't get it back. And Danny was just telling me people are selling phones that have the TikTok app on them. Like, people are that addicted to the app. People are that much of fiends for an app. I'm not. I do Instagram, I do Twitter, I do YouTube, I do Twitch, I do radio. So like the radio is, you know, old and archaic in a way, but now we have an app, and like I can testify personally to the reach that the radio has given me for people to hear my voice, my story, my style, my perspective, my takes through the radio. It has grown my name and my following in a different way than any TikTok would. So I don't need it. I just do Instagram, YouTube, Twitter.
Its class-leading second row legroom allows you to experience a level of comfort you didn't know existed. The available dual display digital cockpit brings the action right to you. With all of these premium features and more, the Kia K4 is ready to unlock a journey that others can only dream of, and a styling so mesmerizing you can't look away. The 2025 Kia K4. Visit your local Kia dealer to test drive one today. Kia, movement that inspires. Comparison based on publicly available data regarding second row legroom in 2024-2025 compact sedans as of November 2024. Compact sedan class as defined by Kia segmentation. Hey, Optimum customers, you've probably heard by now that MSG pulled their channels from Optimum. Not to worry, you've got other ways to watch your favorite teams. The New York Knicks, New York Rangers, New York Islanders, and New Jersey Devils. Optimum is ready to help you find the best.
Answering my text during the break. There was an East Coast located phone with TikTok listed at $50K on eBay the other day. Like, that's stupid, bro. That is so dumb. That is one of the dumbest things I've heard in a long time, yo. Why are people like that, bro? Why do people act like this, bro? We are in a weird ass time, you know? The social media stuff is crazy. I remember years ago telling people like, yo, what are you going to do when social media crashes and you have nothing? What are you going to do when they ban these apps and you have nothing? You got to have other ways. You got to have other mediums, yo. You got to have other ways to reach people, other ways to make money, other ways to create. That's why older people look at the young people like, yo, y'all are nuts, because it just doesn't make sense. Yo, still haven't figured out. You know what it is? There's something like a go-between, like a Elgato Wave Stream that I got to get for this to work. This is the mic that I should be using right now, but I'm using my internal mic, which is fine. I also think that they turned up the monitor on this side and not just that one monitor there, so it's louder. But I'm going to figure out a whole rig thing. Yo, come out to Pinstripe Pride tomorrow at American Dream. I'm there all day kicking it with everybody, so I'll see you at the mall.
I can even order lunch while doing my homework, but I can't use my phone while driving. A distracted driver is one of the leading causes of death in the United States.
I'm type hungry. I got to go home. Yo, check my Instagram, bro.
Keith McPherson from the fan. Let's build. Let's put some shredded nuts on both sides. Torch this bad boy. We're gonna take our signature rifle.
Go run that up. All right, we should get an update here.
Brought to you by Hard Rock Bets. Download the Hard Rock Bet app and roll with us. Success hasn't come easy for the Rangers this year. They'll hope to find a spark in JT Miller. The Rangers acquiring Miller from the Canucks and Filipino and a protected 2025 first-round pick to the Canucks as part of a 6-player trade. The Rangers have been stuck in neutral of late.
My hair is too long.
Islanders zoom past them in
It'll be
standings.
all over the place,
Rangers
yo.
5 points back in the final playoff spot in the Eastern Conference, but have 5 points to jump over. Miller's
1 hour left.
in Boston for The Rangers match up with the Bruins tomorrow afternoon. The Jets have their new offensive coordinator, and he has no connections to Aaron Rodgers. Jay Green hiring Tanner Engstrand to lead their offense. Engstrand has been with new head coach Aaron Glenn in Detroit, serving as the Lions' passing game coordinator. And the Mets add to their depth, signing infielder Nick Madrigal to a one-year split major league deal. Madrigal spent last season with the Cubs. His presence could squeeze Jose Iglesias off the roster. 35-year-old Iglesias remains a free.
It took me 3 days to finish one of those sandwiches, and I didn't finish all of it. Like, I'm trying to be jacked. And yeah, so much mozzarella cheese. It's deep fried. It's got fried raviolis with cheese, chicken cutlet. It's crazy. Last hour I got tonight on a Friday night in New York City. Keith McPherson on the Fan. Appreciate y'all for listening to my show, calling my show. Dial 888-808-1019 if you'd like to be a part of this last hour. We're talking sports, man. We've talked about a lot, and I like to talk about a lot. I like to, keep it moving. I always think about, if you open up with one topic and you stay there, there's somebody that's like, I don't care about this team or this player or whatever. So I try to kind of be fluid, be water, like Bruce Lee would say, just kind of flowing in and out of conversations from Ipe Mizuhara and him going to jail for stealing money from Ohtani and it being alleged as a gambling problem. But really, I don't know. Maybe he's just a thief and didn't have a problem. And maybe Ohtani was the one gambling. Who knows? And then, talking about the Dodgers and their payroll and what baseball is going to do about it. I think, again, right, as we're talking about where we are with what the Dodgers are doing, and this week Yankee fans think that Hal Steinbrenner has a yacht. He's not crying poor. You got to read between the lines. He's speaking as the Yankees owner, but you think he's not having conversations with other owners, smaller market owners, or even big market owners about what the Dodgers are doing? MLBPA Executive Director Tony Clark said, "We're never going to agree to a salary cap. A salary cap is the ultimate restriction on player value and player salary. These players love that Juan Soto has a contract over the next decade and a half where he can make $105 million. It might not have immediate impact for Anthony Santander or Teoscar Hernandez or guys like that, but over time, it will. There may be another Centurion. There may be another player that is able to command a ridiculous deal like that. But as far as what the Dodgers are doing and their deferred money, they have so much deferred money. They would never be able to field this team without deferring that money. But it's just a lot of disparity. There are teams that are not spending anything. Like Juan Soto is making more in a year than the entire Marlins starting lineup. Like Juan Soto's going to step on the field as a Met against the Marlins. One player, he's making more than all 9 players. Like, I don't know. I just feel like that is there is no fair or unfair, but like that is a little odd. Might want to check on that. Might want to do something about that. And as far as the Yankees are concerned, I don't need them to outspend the Dodgers. I need them to beat the Dodgers. I need them to play up and play better against the Dodgers. I need my get back. But, the way baseball works, nobody has gone back to back. It's not a guarantee because the Yankees stacked the deck with Blake Snell and Roki Sasaki, bringing Teoscar back, getting Tanner Scott, Kirby Yates, Hassan Kim from KBO. That it's not a guarantee that they go to the World Series. It's not a guarantee they win the World Series. When I was talking to Val in the Bronx last night, I said what they did was buy a deferred insurance policy. Okay, we deferred some money last year in case we do have some more injuries like they had this year. Let's keep buying players and deferring the money and stacking our 40-man roster. I had in my notes, you guys remember this guy, right? From him being a Red Sox, Ryan Brazier. Well, yesterday, the Dodgers designated Ryan Brazier for assignment. And I saw Codified Baseball wrote, imagine your pitching staff being so good that you can DFA a guy who put up a 1.89 ERA in 68 games for you. They can. The rich get richer. They have an embarrassment of riches. And it is what it is. All we can do is hate, and root for them to fail. 888-808-1019. Mike is in Bayside. Mike, you're on the Fan.
Hey, appreciate it. Great show as always. And, I'll tell you, I really do agree with you on a lot of the points here. And, the thing I'll say, quickly on the Dodgers is, they've almost become what the Yankees were, it's just that evil empire where, no matter what they do, it's going to be World Series or bust, obviously, and, everybody rooting against them. But I want to talk a little bit about this Ohtani thing. I think the thing that stood out to me when this broke was how quickly they made the determination that he had no involvement. And you look at, other things they've had to look through and investigate what that process normally looks like. And you correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was 24 to 48 hours where it came out right away. It was totally the interpreter. Ohtani had no involvement whatsoever. And I think that's what really stood out to me at the time. And again, not saying you did or you didn't have involvement, but just how quickly they made that determination is something that stood out to me in time. So I think as time goes on, obviously we'll get those answers. But, I was always baffled how quick they made that decision or determination.
Yeah. Mike, that's called sweeping it under the rug. Eventually they're going to move that rug.
Yeah, of course. And you said it well. There's incentives on all sides. And, I'm personally am a huge fan of Ohtani and what he does. I'm a Yankees fan, but, it's just hard not to admire.
He's good. As much as I hate on him, there's nobody that can deny we've never seen anything like this. He's not Babe Ruth. He's way better than Babe Ruth.
Absolutely. And both sides. I think from a pitching standpoint, I'm really excited to see if he can come back and do that. But, it's just that was my point there. It's just how quick that determination was made. And, I go back to the archives, but I think it was within 48 hours. It's okay, no involvement. And, I think if you did a real thorough investigation, which MLB obviously tends to do, you're not going to be able to have that definitively as quick as they did. And they did. It was really quick.
Yeah, because we were in season. Thanks for the call, Mike. They didn't want anything to derail the start of the season, actual opening day. They didn't want to have a stain on the game of shadows. The biggest name, the reigning MVP who just went to the Dodgers. No, they were on a crisis management alert. They were like, wait, we got to patch this up quickly. Ipe, yeah. Remember there were two different stories. At first, they said Ohtani was helping his friend, Ipe, in debt. Then it changed to, no, he was stealing the money without Ohtani knowing. Somebody made a mistake in the beginning part of it where they acted like Ohtani gave him money. And then they were like, no, he can't have any involvement in this. It has to be he doesn't have any idea. Not even know about a dollar. So, yeah, it is what it is. 888-808-1019. I'll say this, we can't look at Major League Baseball think about okay, the Astros scandal. The Astros cheating scandal, it took years for them to get to the bottom of that. And then when it came out, did they punish those players? No. So they don't want to punish the players. They want their players to play. Their players are the ones that, people are going to the ballpark to see and watching the game. Ohtani will be protected. And I understand it. I'm not mad at it because I get it. Nobody wins if Ohtani loses. 888-808-1019. Charlie's in Queens. Charlie, you're on the Fan.
Hello, Keith.
Hello.
Basically, my theme of my talk is one, I'm talking about the Knicks and the Islanders and Yankees too in a little way, is don't believe the hype. Don't believe everything you're hearing because you don't know. You're not behind the scenes. Us as fans are not sitting with George or Hank or anybody, and we can't speak for them.
Yeah, so what hype are you speaking on with the Yankees?
The one guy was like, they can't spend it, and the thing they talked about Hal. You weren't hanging out with Hal. You don't know how much he knows about baseball. He could be a baseball geek in 2/3.
Yeah, I think Hal is definitely. I think he knows about the Yankees. I think he's a baseball fan. I remember hearing that his favorite player was Thurman Munson. The guy grew up. I don't know. I just think that's crazy to say that he doesn't know baseball. But as far as their complete and total business plan. That's what I think fans don't know. There was a meme that WFAN put out the other day where I was like, I think when people call Hal cheap or say he's crying poor, that it sounds stupid. I think you're unaware. I think you're unaware how many things they have to pay for. I think you're unaware how many shareholders they have. I think you're unaware how much business they do, how they do it, and how they spend. And this is their family business. This is their only thing that they do. And it isn't multiple partners. So I just think as Yankee fans who just got to the World Series and got to experience the drought end, like to be crying about Hal Steinbrenner and his comments on the Yes Network that were calculated that he wanted to put out, like I think it was much about nothing this week.
And to go into my Knicks and Islanders thing, we as fans either hype it to the point of, oh, we're going to win every damn thing like last year. And I'm a Knicks fan. I wasn't thinking that. I was like, all right, it's a nice beginning. Let's see where it ends. And same thing with the Islanders now. They're on a nice streak. Doesn't mean they're going to win the Stanley Cup. Doesn't even mean they're going to make the playoffs. So let things settle the way they're supposed to. That's what I meant by don't believe the hype. Is don't believe like everything's going to turn out the way you want it to.
Yeah, you would think we would learn, Charlie. You would think we would learn. Like, I understand that with don't believe the hype, right? Oh, the Jets got a top 10 roster in the NFL. Here come the Jets. Aaron Rodgers is healthy.
And just real quick, just sending it off of sports, I just hope, to all the Angelinos, and I know you have family out in the West Coast, and I have some friends there, that they're doing well and they're safe.
Thanks for the call, Charlie. 888-808-1019. Yeah, this year has been interesting already with the plane crashes, the fires, the attacks on people. I hope everybody is safe wherever you are, praying for everybody. Every day I see something on my phone. Twitter sucks. Like you open Twitter and the For You page is just terrible things. People either being hurt or harmed or just crimes and just random things happening that are not good. Like I'm like, I did not need this in my head. I did not want to see this. I did not want to read about this. I did not want to hear about this. I just hope that it doesn't happen to me or anyone that I love. So be safe out there for real. Charlie, thanks for bringing that up. There's just a lot going on. There's two plane crash in Philly area and DC 2 days ago. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. I just watch Sports Center, get ready for the games to come on, follow all my sports accounts, follow all these writers, refresh Twitter that's the thing. I'm on Twitter to see Nick Madrigal got signed. I'm on Twitter to see if Pete Alonso is getting signed. But then you go on Twitter and it's a cesspool of terrible videos and then like things in the news that it's like I probably wouldn't even have known this if I didn't scroll through Twitter. Why is this popping up on my feed? Anyway, 888-808-1019, something that popped up on my feed earlier with the Rangers. And Paulie tried to get us a Rangers reporter to speak more on it. As much as I picked up on hockey, I follow the Devils. And I do appreciate the sport. I do like the sport now. I just, I always take the opportunity to say, like, I had never been to a hockey game. When you go to a hockey game, it is completely different than watching a game. It's cold in there. You can hear the hits. You can hear the fans. You can follow the puck with your eyes. And it is lit when you're watching that puck. And next thing you know, they light the lamp and it's cracking in there. So the Rangers deal to bring back JT Miller. We were trying to get somebody like a reporter on to talk about it, but let's go to Justin in Floral Park and see what he's thinking about it. What's up, Justin? You got it.
This is a no-brainer move by the Rangers. They should have never traded this guy. He was a throw-in with Ryan McDonough to Tampa Bay, one of the worst trades in Ranger history. Okay, when the Rangers sent out that letter that they were rebuilding. Listen, they're 5 points out. They got to jump 5 teams. This might get them over the hump. We'll see. Igor's got to get back to playing like Igor, but it's a no-brainer move, Keith. He's a scorer. He goes to the net. He plays hard. And, like Rosie was saying, I was talking to him before, if by chance this doesn't work out, they could always move him at the deadline because, Drury did do this early, which is good. And I also think there's another move waiting now that they have extra defensemen that you could see either Lindgren move or, I wish, Keandre Miller, who is god-awful, if they can move him. But it's now or never. This is a big weekend for the Rangers. They got back-to-back games against the Bruins, who they're trying to chase, and then Vegas comes to the Garden. So these are two big games for the Rangers. Hopefully they can wake up because they have underachieved all year, as you know, Keith. They went from President's Trophy to basically last place in the Eastern Conference and pretty much the same roster without, dealing Goudreau, which was a big mistake. They obviously finally got rid of Trouba, which they had to do. And honestly, I hope that they eventually get rid of Miller, and even Kreider, to me, I think he's washed up, in my opinion. Just watching hockey for, 40 years of my life, he just doesn't seem like the same player he was. I know he comes playoff time, but he just doesn't seem like the same player, Keith.
Yeah, I feel like this is like when you get a guy back that you lost, it's like a rally the fans kind of move. Like, hey, believe in us. We're not done. We're not out of it. We're still going for it. Look who's back.
Keith, because there's another veteran guy like Jimmy Vesey who was key for their run to the Eastern Conference Finals last year, and he's unhappy. He doesn't know what his role is. Something is going on that we're not knowing about behind closed doors with management, because all these veteran guys are not happy. Mika Zibanejad's having his worst year. Kreider's having his worst year. And now Jimmy Vesey, who was another key cog on the fourth line, is not having a good year. So something is going on, Keith, that eventually will come out. Somebody will report either Larry Brooks or Molly Walker or somebody, but something is definitely going on because they're still not hitting on all cylinders like they were last year. It's literally the same roster. I mean, Igor's in his prime. Panarin's still a sniper, and they're not winning games. So something is definitely going on behind closed doors.
Yeah, it's been for months. Thanks for the call, Justin. 888-808-1019. I don't know. The Rangers, if we go back to December and then into January, it has been a roller coaster. It's been up and down, and there's been twists and turns, and so unpredictable that this would be the season coming off of what they did last year.
Team. Granted, they brought in Riley Smith, and they made a few tweaks on the back end on the bottom six, but they pretty much ran back the same core of Mika, Kreider, Panarin, Lafreniere, Trocheck, Adam Fox. They pretty much ran back the same core, and obviously Igor, and they were just played awful hockey for 2 months. They were legit the worst team in the NHL for about a 6 to 8 week stretch. And it just shows the ups and downs and the ebbs and flows of a National Hockey League season, where you have this type of team. And like you said, ups and downs and peaks and valleys. And now Drury makes a move that clearly is a move signaling they're not going to sell at this point. But as I was talking to Justin, and Justin mentioned it on the air with you, if this doesn't work before the trade deadline, and there's a trade deadline, there's also the Four Nations face-off that's going on. Mm-hmm. There's going to be like a week or 2 week stretch where there's no NHL being played. There's enough time for them to possibly flip JT Miller and acquire some more assets and really try to reshape the team if Chris Drury doesn't think that this team can win in the playoffs and go far, which is the bar if you're the Rangers.
Yeah, I think from what I'm looking on, Twitter and seeing Rangers fans are happy about the trade, feel like they've won the trade. I just glanced through a USA Today sports article. They give it a B. And we always say who won the trade the day of the trade and not even hours of the trade. But I think the consensus is this is a good thing. This is a good move. We shall see. 888-808-1019. It's the law of the Garden, right? The Knicks go up, the Rangers come down. They can't both be up at the same time. Right now, the Knicks are riding high. The Rangers are down a little bit, but I think they can come back around. And we need it. We need it because, you just heard Charlie talk about don't believe the hype. I feel like we get so hyped up. All right, the Rangers are winning the cup. President's Trophy. We don't want the President's Trophy. We want the cup. No quit in New York. This is the year. This is the year. Now with the Knicks,
You know, now everybody, the Knicks this January, they finished with 32 wins. The defense has come along. They've got a better bench now. They're scoring 122, 143 points. This is the Knicks year to get it done. We just got to slow down. I know in baseball, I preach that all the time. We take it day by day, series by series, week by week, month to month. Because in baseball, you know it, with 162, there's the Yankees are going to go through June and be terrible, but then they'll still figure out how to get to the World Series. 888-808-1019. Calvin in Washington Heights on the Fan. Hello, Calvin.
Man, how you doing, man? I'm a huge fan of your show because, you're a big fan of baseball like me. I was going to talk about the Dodgers on how they've been splitting their money and deferred. The Boston done that before with Manny Ramirez, Bobby Bonilla with the Mets, Washington Nationals done that before. I just feel like teams got to get more creative as well. And I'm not going to call the Yankees cheap because their payroll is more than enough to win the World Series. Texas 2 years ago won the World Series. Arizona, which is in my opinion, the top 6, top 5 team in baseball this year, made it to the World Series as well. So you could make it. It's just the decisions that you're making to put the best team, forward. Something that I wanted to piggyback on what you were saying about players that could potentially make money like Soto. Right now, Julio Rodriguez is probably the one that could have done it, but he signed up already. Acuna is the bargain deal that Atlanta has for him. He was the one player that probably could have gone over that.
Bobby Witt.
Bobby Witt is another one, but he signed up too, 240, or I think he signed 250. I feel like him and Jose Ramirez.
Tatis
got low.
We don't talk about homie anymore, but Wander Franco.
Correct, but to not lose my train of definitely, this is why I like your show. Jose Ramirez and Bobby Witt, I feel, got really hit hard because Jose Ramirez is supposed to be 300 plus. To me, he's a top 10 player in baseball, super consistent, was about to hit 40-40, but the last game of the season got canceled. Bobby Witt is in the same ballpark with his talent. You know what I mean? So these players, just teams got to get creative. And I think it's definitely possible for teams to compete. Obviously now the National League looked like the West Coast, looked like the West in the NBA. They're so loaded. So the East, like the American League, is less competition now. If you see all the top 10, almost all the teams in the National League, they're all heavy. Arizona, Dodgers, San Diego's good, but they're going to be trading players because they can't handle the payroll. The Dodgers, Atlanta, Philly, Mets, they're all in the National League. The American League is not as competitive,
Yeah, or so we don't think right now on paper. We'll see when the season comes. Yeah, you can throw the Brewers in there. We'll see what the Cubs look like. Like, the National League is going to be a gauntlet. We think that the American League is going to be a cakewalk, for the Yankees. Somebody's going to emerge. Somebody's going to be better this year. But no, I hear you. I'm right there with you. It is kind of crazy when you think about Jose Ramirez, the deal that he took, especially with the Guardians.
He's the best. In my opinion, he's clearly right now the best third baseman in the game. Like, Manny Machado put those consistent numbers since 2016, but what he's been able to do, so consistent, same numbers, and he doesn't even have someone protecting him in that lineup. He will get traded down the road because Cleveland, that's what they tend to do. When they have something and they could try to get assets, they don't hold players for a long time. Hopefully the Yankees could bring him someone that could give him some primetime TV so they could see how talented he is.
I wish, bro. You just the thought of Jose Ramirez, how soon next year can we get Jose Ramirez to play third base for the Yankees?
Do that. But the San Diego Padres is a team that they're going to lose players because their owner, if he was alive, I honestly think that he would have been competing with the Dodgers. But this is the team that we got to pay attention to because they're going to trade off pieces. The wife and the brother, they're fighting in court. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen with Tatis. I know Dylan Cease, the rumor was that the Mets is after him. The rumor is that Michael King, which was an amazing pitcher for the Yankees, but really stood out as an ace for San Diego, might get traded. So, I'm curious to see what's going to happen with those players in that organization. Thank you for having me today, man.
Appreciate the call, Calvin. 888-808-1019. I don't expect the Mets to ante up for Dylan Cease or Michael King. I just don't if they're going to give him a pitcher, they're probably going to want an arm in the deal. They're probably going to want a haul in the deal. I think the Mets, who I just was speaking of, right, when we were talking about asset allocation and the Mets making those trades to replenish their farm system and having a GM in David Stearns who's in his second year, who's still assessing, evaluating, and seeing what he has. I don't see him making a trade for a Dylan Cease or a Michael King in this next month here. 888-808-1019. What else did he say? And we got to go to break here. I'm running out of time. When it comes to the deferred money, and I pulled this up and I keep this in my notes. I know the Mets deferred money for Bobby Bonilla, and you can mention Manny Ramirez. Even I think Francisco Lindor has some deferred money in his contract. The Blue Jays just deferred money with Santander. It isn't unheard of for a couple contracts. The Dodgers have over $1 billion deferred in contracts for players that are on the team right now. Ohtani has $680 million deferred. Will Smith has $50 million deferred. Freddie Freeman has $57 million deferred. Blake Snell has $65 million deferred. Mookie Betts has $115 million deferred. Teoscar just said, yeah, defer 8.5 for me. I joked before they're deferring money on Tommy Edman. Tommy Edman's like, yeah, throw in $25 million for me. That is unheard of. All right, let's take this break. I'm running out of time. Keep McPherson on the fan. I'll be right back. Yo, I'm gonna wrap this up. Only because two reasons. I gotta go to the bathroom and I have to pack up and boom, boom. I gotta get out of here, yo. Like I gotta run. Like when my show ends at 11:54, I gotta run to the elevator, get downstairs, run to the back of the building, run to my car, drive, get through the tunnel by 12 o'clock. So, but yo, appreciate y'all. I see we got over 1,100 now. Little motion. Appreciate it, yo. Yo, shout out to my guy Rich. I just retweeted your tweet. I see you watching TV. Got me on the iPad as well. Yeah, more stuff in the works, yo. Let me see, McPhersonbrand.com and the YouTube channel on the way. Well, the YouTube channel's up, but I'm just not servicing it every day. But I'll get there. What else did I want to throw in here? That's it. Yeah, I'm gonna start doing these every time I go live for 5-hour shows. Yeah, I don't know. I'll keep it running. It is what it is. Keith, my man, what's up? JT Miller's back, baby. We're talking about it, Ross. You just missed a call from Justin in Floral Park talking about it. I said it's a rally the fans, got our guy back type of move, and the Rangers showing that they're still in it. KM to AM, the best there is on WFAN, a true breath of fresh air. Listen here in Hamden, Connecticut every night. Keep it up. Appreciate it. If I'm a breath of fresh air, what are the rest of them? All right, I'll be right back.
Initial sketch to the final details, each style is designed with exquisite craftsmanship. Every wedding gown, bridesmaid look, prom dress, and special occasion style in between features handcrafted details filled with love. Come see the magic in person. Book an appointment and sign up for Diamond Loyalty to save 15% on your first purchase. Earn points toward special rewards and more at davidsbridal.com.
Are you 50 or older? This news is for you. The CDC now recommends you get vaccinated against pneumococcal pneumonia. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at risk. People 50 or older are over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia compared to adults 18 to 49. Just one shot can help protect you. Learn more and schedule at vaxassist.com. That's VAXassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
The best time of the year for football is finally here. The big game has arrived, and fans are excited to see who will be hoisting the trophy in New Orleans. You can get in on all the action at ESPN Bet Sportsbook. Check out their big game giveaway promo for your chance at $1 million in prizes. 25 winners will walk away with $10K in cash, and 7,500 winners will get $100 in bonus bets. No deposit or bet required. Opt in today in the ESPN Bet Sportsbook app. Must be 21 plus. Gambling problem? Call 877-8-OPEN-WIDE or text OPEN-WIDE 67369. Terms and conditions.
All right, cool. That's fine. Y'all still holding over 11 Hondo. Appreciate y'all for real. Whew. I'm about to break. I'm hungry. I'm about to go home, grub some, and go to sleep. I got to be at the Pinstripe Pride event. Oh, that's cool, right? So I was live the other night, and I recorded an ESPN bet read, and I gave you guys the behind the scenes on like going into the other studio, recording it, I like read it, like I did a dry read of it. And then I did it in one take, and then I sent it in, and now you hear it on the radio. And, that's a cool vantage point to be like, hey, I saw Keith do that live. Now I'm hearing it on the radio. So thanks for bringing that up. The rest are stale. I miss Steve Summers, Tony Page, and Craig Carton. Craig just texted me. It's funny. I was answering Craig's text live on air. So shout out to Uncle Craig. I still talk to Tony Page, and I still talk to Steve Summers. Those guys, all three of them would be in my like top 4 or 5. So it's funny you mentioned that. Let's see. YouTube Shorts has been doing good if you put clips in there too. Yes, I have. I put my sandwich clip in there today. Glad I popped in, caught the live here on X. Keep going, bro. Got to. That's where I'm getting most of the views from X. Okay, no more breaks. I'm taking this for the next 20 minutes to the end of the show. Keith McPherson on the Fan, another KM to AM 5-hour sports talk show. Just me, no co-host, but I did have a couple guests. So thank you to Antoine Staley, and thank you to John Jastrzemski, and of course, thank you to Paul Rosenberg, my producer, who booked them and dropped the beats and played the audio and helped me get through another show. I mean, these 5-hour shows, I always say they're a sprint, not a marathon. Like I could talk and run through the topics just fine, but like I don't want the shows to be the same. So doing back-to-back shows or doing 3 of these in 1 week and being in this kind of dead period where there's no football, where we're waiting on Pete Alonso to sign, Aaron Glenn is like filling out his staff. We're talking about the draft with the Giants. Like there's nothing else. I mean, at least we did get some breaking news today as far as the Rangers and the trade. Let's go to the calls on that. At least that's something new and current and fresh to talk about that nobody else has talked about yet on the Fan. Dylan out on Long Island. You got it. Good. Thanks for calling.
Thanks for having me on. So this deal for the Rangers is absolutely monumental, and I'm going to tell you why. So JT Miller obviously was here and was a big point scorer when he was here, ruffled some feathers, and that's why he was shown the door. But right now it's kind of ironic. This team needs feathers ruffled. They're too comfortable. They play soft. It's not the same effort every night. And if you watch JT Miller play hockey, that guy's going 55% every time he's on the ice, and that's what this team needs to see right now. They need leaders in that room that are leading by example, not by words, and this team needs accountability, and I think Miller's going to bring it to him. And for what they gave up, obviously Heedle's a good player, and Heedle's been really good for the Rangers, but always one hit away with Phil Heedle of really ending his career at this point. So I think the Rangers made out really, really well in this deal, and I'm excited. Hopefully he gets in the lineup tomorrow in Boston.
Well said, Dylan. And I like that thought too, right? As much as this locker room has changed, as much as there were friendships and buddy stuff, that's done. That's over with. And sometimes you need to shake the room like that. Sometimes you need to remind these guys, hey, this is not the country club. This is not a hangout. This is business. We're here to win. We have a ton of fans that pay a lot of money to see us. We represent New York City. We need better right now. So maybe JT Miller coming back is a sign of, I don't know, better times to come. Ross and the Rangers. Ross and Bergen County back on the Fan. I'm good, man. How you feeling?
Hey, man, I wish I could have called you earlier. I'm actually shout out my buddy Ian. We had to ask about the hockey game. And I've been trying to scramble call you real quick. I got in. Listen, man, this had to happen, all right? And it's been talked about for months. Kind of felt like a wrench got thrown into it with the Randy trade because, you know, there was kind of rumors that he could either come to us or Carolina. So when Nico went to Carolina, it kind of felt like if he was getting moved, it was inevitably going to be back here in New York. And Dylan kind of touched on everything. You basically stole my thunder. You know, kind of feels like there's some unfinished business with Miller here. And overall, you know, the way he left when we sent him down to Tampa, one of the worst trades. I don't think it's hyperbole to say franchise history. We gave up him and McDonough for a couple picks and prospects that are just notoriously bad. And, you know, goes to Vancouver. Now, bringing him back, I know the contract's kind of hefty. Dylan brought up, you know, the fact that he's beyond injury prone, man. I was talking to Paulie behind the glass. Feels like the guy looks the wrong way and he's concussed, right? And, you know, the last couple, you know, last year, he had a couple freak, you know, instances where he missed significant times. So the fact that, you know, he had great moments here, he kind of had a hefty contract himself. So, you know, you give him the door, you say thank you for all the good memories, great run here. But, you know, when you can move that, you know, somewhat of a liability in a player with the injury risk, or a former Ranger himself who, you know, like I said, kind of had some unfinished business, you could slot him in that first center role that Mika has been beyond Harden all year. I love the trade, man. I know it's not a lot. It's kind of mixed reactions, but I absolutely love it. And I'm so happy he's back.
Good. Thanks for the call, Ross. Like I said, it's a feel-good Friday. It's a rally the fans. It's a look who's back type of trade that if you were unsure about the Rangers, if you weren't feeling them, when they make a move like this is a move that wakes the fan base up to show that, like, the front office is trying and they want to compete. And, hey, that's good. It's always a good day when you get a player back and you feel like there's unfinished business and when you feel like you've won the trade. We'll see how it plays out. 888-808-1019. Let's go to Chuck in the truck.
Keith, what's up, brother?
What's up, man? How you feeling?
I'm feeling all right, bro. I'm glad to hear you say what you said about Ohtani earlier, because your boy C-Mac last night or early morning, we could say, was trying to tell me that Judge is better than Ohtani. I had to put the brakes on that.
Nah.
Ohtani's a better offensive player, too, or just as good, you know?
We not to cut you off, but somebody did that with me the other night, and I was like, Judge is better than Ohtani in the postseason. Like Ohtani has a ring. Ohtani was cranking homers in Queens. Like, I know Judge hit some homers, but like we can't. And now when Ohtani gets back on the mound, he's gonna restore the feeling and remind you, like, this guy is different. As much as I hate on him, like, it can't be denied. He's the best baseball player any of us have ever seen.
Yeah. So I thought C-Mac was buzzing with that, but it's funny you brought up the name of his dog, Decoy. I did the same thing in a space we had on X the other day with Dan Bartels. We do a space there, and I was saying, like, I don't think he's as squeaky clean either. Like, and I thought he was laughing in everybody's face by naming his dog Decoy. Like, to me, that just doesn't sit right with me, you know. But you're right. Like, the powers that be that are in control, I mean, everybody loses if Ohtani loses. And not for 1 second do I believe that he didn't intentionally defer 90% of his salary, knowing that his friend Yamamoto and Roki Sasaki were coming too. Because, I mean, we've never seen that before. You're going to defer 90% of your salary? Please, they did the same thing that LeBron and D-Wade and Chris Bosh did to the NBA. Okay, they played on that Japanese national team together. They were friends. They agreed that they were going to come over to MLB. Like, you know, Sasaki passed up a chance at a 9-figure contract.
Bruh. They gave us the runaround for nothing. It was a dog and pony show for that guy for nothing.
Yeah, we know what happened, bro. They did the same thing that LeBron, Wade, and Bosh.
So there was probably some tampering as well. There had to be some type of premeditated something, but nope, nobody knows.
Think what Chico said. Dallas Chico said it. He said that he had already heard rumblings of a plan with the Dodgers. Yeah, that plan was Ohtani and his boys were coming, and that's why he deferred 90% of his salary because, like you said, they can't put this roster together without that. Okay, he knows that Yamamoto is going to get big money, and guess what? Roki will be in line for big money before Ohtani's deferment payments kick in. They definitely planned that, bro. I'm not being. And then look what Roki said on his Instagram. Oh, finally we get to play baseball together again and try. Yeah, that was the plan all along, bro. And like you said, it was a dog and pony show, just like when LeBron and Wade wanted to pretend like they were interested in the Knicks and the Bulls and all that. Yeah, right. Pat Riley cleared out his whole roster. Who does that? He ain't no 1 year in advance, okay? LeBron, if you guys remember, LeBron said that he was changing from number 23 because out of respect for Michael Jordan, he said nobody else should wear that number. What's his current number in Los Angeles? Yeah, 23. There's only 2 teams in the NBA that have the number 23 retired from Michael Jordan. That is A, the Chicago Bulls, and B, the Miami Heat, bro. Okay? So he already knew he was going to Miami. He already put his jersey number change in a year before.
They always know. And like Chuck, that's what I was saying. Like, we as fans and just little people are on the outside looking up at this stuff, and we just they act like we're stupid, right? They piss on our head and tell us it's raining, but they always know behind the scenes what is gonna happen, it's so orchestrated. And then, oh yeah, Roki Sasaki didn't want to go to a big market. He didn't want to go to a big team. His agent is telling people he didn't want to be around big personalities. He joins the Dodgers.
Beasley, who was the number 2 overall pick for a bag of basketballs. He did that knowing that he needed that space for the big 3. And the Dodgers did the same thing. They deferred all that money. They talked to Ohtani. Ohtani told him, hey, look, Yoshi's coming, Roki's coming. All right, I'm going to push all this money back. We need money to get them in here. And that's what happened. All right, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to hear it.
Hey, I'm letting you go because I completely agree.
Decoy.
He's sketchy, bro. Thanks for the call. But then MLB posts him every 10 minutes. The glazing is nonstop of him and Decoy. They're all in on it. They want you to think that Ohtani is this like lovable character and this sweetheart. I remember telling y'all he knows way more English than you think. They act like he can't speak a lick of English. I'm not buying it. Give me a break. Jonathan is out in Los Angeles, somewhere around where Ohtani lived.
Oh man, it was good, man. that caller couldn't hit it right in the spot, bro. I mean, everything was already planned. I mean, but hey, man, you know, I never found hated a commissioner so much like I do to Rob Manfred. First of all, calling the trophy a piece of metal and letting all this, I was going to say a bad word, all this thing happen in baseball. Shout out to the Dodgers. They're doing their stuff. It is what it is. I'm not hating on them. I'm just mad at the fact that all this is just going on, and poor Pete Rose wasn't even let in the Hall of Fame, man. Yeah, David Stern. I'm gonna take you back in my Lakers. I saw for that, bro. The Lakers were supposed to get CP3.
Yep.
David Stern stopped that right away. You know what? No, that can happen. That might hurt the sport or whatever it is, man. I mean, I'm not hating that Sasaki went over there. Well, why you gotta do all that circus for? I mean, it's just the deferred money and then the gambling thing, dude. Everything got put under the rug so quietly. Even my wife asked me last time, hey, whatever happened with that Ohtani thing? No one really talked about it. Like, no, because that's what Rob Manfred wants, dude. That's what he wants. He wants everything to put on the floor because that's his golden child. That's his Michael Jordan to David Stern. That's his Kobe and Shaq to David.
Yeah. It would have been bad for business. They got rid of that quickly because they're like, no, not right now. Baseball starting opening day. We cannot have this.
Yeah, exactly, man. But you know what, dude? Like, my Lakers, they did a 3-peat. That run ended with Kobe and Shaq. You know, the Heat, it ended in 2 championships. I just hope that this little run, with this 2-3 year run, because the Dodgers, they're not 27, 26 years old, dude. They're 30, 32, 33 years old with Freeman, Betts, Dupont, and all these guys. I just hope their time passes by quick, and they probably hopefully they just end up with that one World Series, and it is what it is. Oh, one more thing, Keith. I'm hating on you, bro. I'm jealous of you, my guy.
Why?
I ain't talking about the muscles, bro. I'm talking about because you're going to Pinstripe Pride, man. I see all types of players and everything going, like, man, I wish I could just be there with all, Yankees and all.
Well, you follow me. So look at my Instagram tomorrow.
But you know what? My wife was like, all right, either or. You go there or you go to opening day. I'm like, nope, I got to go to opening day, man. Keith, great weekend, great show, bro. Thank you so much, man. And like always, go Yanks.
Let's go Yanks. My guy Jonathan out there in LA. You also could just move. Actually, nah. I'm the main one on the fan talking about how the Dodgers are selling LA. I would not advise you to leave LA and come live in New York, New Jersey to be closer to the Yankees. A couple trips here and there are fine. But yeah, if you can't make it out to American Dream tomorrow or Sunday, it's okay. Follow me on Instagram. I will go live. I will pull up. You will see me with all the people there. Shout out to Hall of Fame signings. I was there yesterday, and I got to see the new layout, and I got to see the new setup. And then I put a little video out of, how to get there from the parking lot and the parking deck. Let's see who we got lined up. I'm so blessed that between getting on the radio, being in the MLB fan cave, being on MLB Network, being a bleacher creature, I just figured out how to get around everybody. So all of these names I'm about to mention, this is not my first time meeting these people. Tomorrow, Aaron Boone will be there. Oswaldo Cabrera, Brian Cashman, Chris Chambliss, Roger Clemens, David Cone, Jason Dominguez, Domingo Herman, Joe Girardi, Goose Gossage, Ron Guidry, El Duque, Michael Kay, Spike Lee, Don Mattingly, Manny Ramirez, Mariano Rivera, CeCe Sabathia, John Sterling, Susan Waldman, Nick Swisher, Bernie Williams, Devin Williams, Todd Zeal. So all of those people will be there between 11:30. Oswaldo's at 10:30. Now I got to go home, go to sleep because I got to get up early to see Oswaldo. I got to be over there by 11 o'clock now. But all of those people are going to be hanging out at the mall in this area for the Pinstripe Pride event. And I'm just going to be bouncing around, bopping around. I'll probably take, pictures and videos with everybody. And just look at my Instagram story on my Instagram, and you'll be able to kind of live vicariously through me. Let me take the rest of my calls before we get out of here. That was just Saturday. I'll try and read Sunday after we talk to Mark in Mahopac. What's up, Mark?
Meet you.
Nice to meet you over the phone as well.
I'm just gonna state my opinion. I think Aaron Judge is a better hitter than Ohtani for average.
Yeah, he's a better hitter, but he's not a better player. I gave up. I trust me. I was saying Judge is the greatest player I've ever seen, and then he failed again in the postseason, and then they lost to the Dodgers, and Ohtani's over there, and now Ohtani's about to come back and pitch. Judge is a GOAT, but he's not better than Ohtani. We are living in the era of Ohtani's dominance, and he's a better baseball player than Judge. I give it up.
Okay, but you can't say that Ohtani is better. Well, he's a pitcher, but you can't compare him there.
No, you're 100% correct about the 2024 season, right? Judge had a more impressive season because Ohtani was just a DH. Judge played center field, and Judge had a ridiculous, season at the plate as well. Yeah, in the regular season, not counting the postseason.
Also, his fielding ability and his arm is incredible. Throwing guys out from right field.
I can't wait to see him in right field every day. He's back to right field, and he's going to be an all-star there and a plus defender there. I love Judge. Judge is the best player I've ever seen up close and personal with my eyes. I've been in there for, I don't know, 100 of his homers. But I got to give it up to Ohtani. I had this argument with a bunch of people this year.
Cool, Yankee guys. So they should have beat the Diamondbacks, and they should have beat Boston in that American League Championship.
And the Marlins.
You're probably young.
No, I remember. Yeah, I was in Atlanta and I was randomly watching like the smart TV, and they had like the story of the 2003 Marlins and like seeing it from that vantage point and not the Yankees. I was like, what the hell? I was like, which one? Which, if you could only pick one between watching the, yeah, because it was right there, because it was right freaking there. Yeah, now you're making me feel bad before I go home. Thanks for the call. And I couldn't get to the last call, but you know what? Frank and Fairfield, you should hang on, because coming up next is Pete Hoffman, and exactly what you want to talk about, he wants to talk about. That's all I've got. I gotta go home and go to sleep, because like I said, the Pinstripe Pride event, that's gonna be going off tomorrow at 10 a.m. And the way that I go home, and I don't know what I'm going to watch on TV. Maybe make me something to eat. I might not go to sleep till 3 in the morning, because, you know, my biorhythms are set up like that. Usually I don't go to bed till 3:34, doing the show till 2. And you know, or maybe you don't know. Another fun week. That's it for me. Pete Hoffman's next. Keep it locked right here. You're listening to The Fan. All right, I'm out of here, yo. WFAN, New York. Da-da.